showing up for the very first time, and they're showing up strong in pretty decent fashion, especially LLK. Has actually become one of the most reliable and most fearsome ranged assassin players in the league.
That is correct, but here we have a pretty telling message that SPT are the favorites here. The thing is, though, that score used to be a lot higher. It used to be about 8.3 to 8.6. The problem with that is SPT, like we said before, have been on a bit of a downward slope over the last couple of days, only recovering yesterday, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, very true. Beyond the Game actually choosing that first battleground, and we see 4 bans as per usual. For those of you who are new to HGC China, we have 2 rounds being played. Each team is going to face each other twice at least, and the maps that were actually picked in the first round are no longer available in round 2. So as such, we have fewer battlegrounds to fall back on, and that resulted in a couple of Brax's holdout games yesterday, the day before yesterday, and today. But for now, everything's remaining a little bit more neutral here on Battlefield, on Infernal Shrines. Looking good, looking standard for both teams up to this point.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our final series of the standard play phase of HGC China before we head into the playoffs has begun with a ban on Genji from SPT and BTG following the theme that we have seen today, Garrosh getting removed, but they've given Melody or Molly, we now know both of them can play it, the Medivh.
And that is a cool thing about the current roster for SPT, right? On the one hand, you could argue, yes, Molly's still not at the same level as Xin Zhao, who's still injured, and Melody C actually, as a result, fitting into this main ranged assassin role for the most part in most recent plays in games of SPT. But it also makes them less predictable. With that Medivh first pick, it is so hard to predict, actually, whether it's Molly who plays that hero, who did so yesterday and executed it very well, or if it's going to be Melody C, the old school Medivh for SPT after all.
Junkrat and Sonya picked up pretty early here for Beyond the Game. Quite unusual. Their go-to first pick has almost always been Malfurion, so it is quite interesting to see, but they do very much like their Sonya, so pretty cool to see that straight away. And Junkrat is just insane win rates across all of HGC China at the moment.
All right, Sonya Junkrat, really stable. We have a good soul laner and a good shrine clearer already with Sonya. The last Sonya we saw was actually Team Soa today, with Faye doing marvelous things on that hero. So definitely a hero to stay. And Beyond the Game, you know, they have a variety of playstyles available as well. They can be almost as aggressive as a team like the One, but they can also play standard, which sets them apart from teams like the One, who are normally known to only go for aggression, and when they fall back on a standard playstyle, they perform significantly less efficiently.
And there's a pretty big deal here. We see the Diablo coming in, the potential for that late Apocalypse combo, and if not, Portal Dibbles is absolutely terrifying to deal with. Even Malfurion added to that, this sets them up for potential Twilight Dream plays, despite the amount of pressure and focus that China puts onto the Tranquility.
Petra, have we seen more Twilight Dream today than Tranquility? I think we did.
We did. This is true. We also haven't seen that much Malfurion. He's been banned a lot.
Yeah. Malfurion actually proving to be quite the staple still for all the regions, especially in China here now as well, of course. And the reason why Malfurion is oftentimes picked alongside the Medivh is, of course, because their supporting styles just complement each other so well. Malfurion is here with a slower, more AoE-focused healing, whereas Medivh is a single target burst protector, if you will. And Alexstrasza actually getting banned against Beyond the Game. They played that multiple times, but to see Alexstrasza banned over Stukov already hints towards more inside knowledge that SPT seems to have over Beyond the Game, because apparently Beyond the Game support player Druid does not play the Stukov as much. Otherwise, I don't think there would be an Alexstrasza ban over the Admiral.
He actually does. I mean, he has a significantly higher pick rate on the Stukov than the Alexstrasza, but the Alexstrasza is kind of an issue for the Diablo. It's disengage tools, whereas Stukov is more of a follow-up engage. He has got a disengage, but it's a heroic, whereas Alexstrasza can control the area a little bit more efficiently. So being able to ban away that Alexstrasza gives them a little bit more chance of even blowing up the Stukov as opposed to trying to engage into a Dragon Queen.
Yeah, interesting to see that. They obviously rate the Dragon Queen as a bigger threat than the Stukov Silence, which can actually not only mess with Diablo, but also the Medivh or the supports in general, right? If a Lurking Arm is well placed and someone steps through a portal very carelessly, that could actually be the downfall, the end of them. So Hanzo, of course, on top of it. Now a very poke-heavy backlane here for Beyond the Game. Hanzo and Junkrat, if you combine these two heroes into one mix, it's going to be almost impossible to even get close to them without taking grenade and arrow damage to the face all the time. As such, though, Medivh Protection and Diablo, who becomes very tanky in the first place after getting all those stacks in Soul Stones, could be the right choice after all.
This is why I'd really like to see BTG going with the Johanna here. They have a way superior poke to SPT. So being able to just control the front line and have a tank that's actually kind of a little bit harder than some of the others for Diablo to kill, Johanna or Muradin, I would think would be really appropriate here.
In my opinion, they need a tank now that has mobility in one way or the other, right? Either by increasing movement speed or by having a gap closer. So as such, the Muradin, in my opinion, might be a good choice. Even an ETC could work out, but with the Tracer now being deployed, that of course calls for special countermeasures. Now, as much as Varian works as a Tracer counter, I would not like to see him here for two reasons. A, he's not going to be able to provide good peeling for the backline. He's a more aggressive playmaking warrior. And I also think that his early game is a little... it's strong, true, but he has no scaling into the late game. And that is exactly something they could need against the combo that SPT has on a map like Infernal Shrines that tends to go a little longer.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my lean towards Johanna here. She's one of the few heroes who can really hold the line. ETC could be decent for disengage, but would really struggle against Tracer. Muradin has similar issues against Tracer, but could be okay against against Zeratul. But I like this. Two different styles. The poke, it is going to be Varian. I'm not sure about it. I can see the issue along with you. But it could be good. They have okay burst with Sonya, with Hanzo. So they could try a burst style. But the whole idea was to start with a pokes build for Beyond the Game. And SPT sort of just went around that and was like, okay, we're going to pick a hard engage composition.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be very interesting to see, of course. Varian can work if heroes like Hanzo and Stukov are on the same page, right? Those are going to be the two main follow-ups for the taunt. The silence underneath, the slow coming in from the Stukov W as well, and then even Hanzo dropping a Stormbow, dropping a couple of hard-hitting auto attacks in there, and that could be the end of a hero like, let's say, Malfurion or Medivh. But already, I feel like there is so much mobility on the side of SPT as well that it's going to be so hard to even lock down someone in the first place. Tracer has Recall and Blink. Zeratul is hard to catch. He's very slippery as well. And Medivh always has that potentially life-saving portal available. So it's going to be a clash of styles, you know, high mobility against long-distance poke and a little bit of lockdown.
We're going to expect this to be likely a Melody Z Tracer, so this is going to be good. As, let's see if I'm correct, as we load into the battlefield of eternity. Spawning on the left-hand side is Super Perfect Team with Molly on Medivh, Melody Z on Tracer, Misaka on Diablo, Soap on that Zeratul, and ZZH on Malfurion.
All right, and their opponents here. These slight underdogs on paper, but showing off strong results lately. Beyond the Game with 619 on Varian. LLK is playing the Junkrat. Druid on his support on Stukov. Dancing is Hanzo, and Lai is playing as Sonya. And Lai, once again, remember, he was labeled the key player. Can he perform admirably again? Junkrat using a little bit of a boost here to basically get out of the gate. And, yeah. Let's see.
Bringing out the melee, bringing out that extra cooldown reduction on her ult. This is very much indicative of a burst-based build. They want to continue to follow up on Diablo with that portal setup. Zeratul with a cleave build for the same reason.
And I like what Molly has been doing on level 1 already. He ignores the wind celerity, which is the movement speed in Raven form, and he also ignores the regeneration in Raven build form. Instead, he focuses on what really matters in this game, and I fully agree with his decision here. He's going for the portal talent level 1, which allows him to drop those portals without breaking Raven form. And that, of course, is so huge because it allows him to play way more safely without exposing him too much, allowing him to stack more safely then as well, and saving allies in need at the same time.
So, Stukov at level 1, not going for the Growing Infestation because he needs to be able to disengage for his team. Fetid Touch, engage and disengage build is going to be very much leaning towards that root style of play that we do see every now and again.
All right, so SPT is already trying to play this very passively, right? They're just scouting for here. Actually, Tracer getting caught in a steel trap, using the recall as an emergency escape tool. Medivh also paying attention here, taking good care of his teammate. That was already a tricky steel trap here by LLK. That could have almost worked out.
But we're having a lot of almost kill on the top lane, almost kill on Tracer. Both teams looking for that first blood, not able to acquire it. Ever so slight, not so much lead, but ever so slight clear advantage in favor of SPT here. They were able to hit level 3 first, but that's only because they're clearing the lanes quicker. Very little XP has been missed for either teams. Full 3-man cleave there by Zeratul, a little bit of good damage onto Druid.
Alright, yeah, both teams are trying to really test the waters here. How far can they go? How well are the enemy teams responding to the rotations as well? And that is oftentimes the indicator of a higher quality game, of a more competitive game, where teams are making less mistakes in the early game. They're not getting caught isolatedly all the time while rotating. So already you can see the higher level of play when you compare it to a game like, let's say, So against Sunny Lion, which took place earlier today, where many kills were made in the early game. There was shenanigans left and right. And now speaking of shenanigans, SPT could try to contest this Merkin, but they decide to go the other way around, realizing that the early game they do not want to mess, especially not against the taunts here.
Taunt is good as the setup for Jade, for Tracer there, but not even close to a kill, thanks to that force of will. Medivh, by the way, not going for that Raven Familiar, going for the extra vision instead with the Dust of Appearance, even though the Stealth Hero is on his team, but once again, it allows you to gain vision, retreat back to your team nice and safely, and it can actually be used outside of Raven.
All right, look at SPT. They're trying to go for the gank here. Dancing, of course, the right target to blow your load on, and that was really well done. SPT going with a massive focus fire onto Hanzo. Well done. More mayhem being caused. Molly cannot afford to die. If they get the return kill onto Medivh, it was all worth it after all.
Molly survives, those stacks are kept, and the camp was stolen. SPT with the MVP invade there as they move on to the first shrine of the game. Misaka tanking through 619, but 619 could get these hard engages.
All right, the shrine has been activated, and Beyond the Game will be 5 team members relatively shortly here, dancing on the Hanzo. He is back right now, trying to get all that AoE damage done, not only against the enemy heroes, but also against the Shrine Guardians. Already, they've taken a lead, actually, with Sonya and Hanzo providing such good AoE damage, followed up by Junkrat there as well. 21-21. This is going to be a very close range. Variant going in with a taunt.
What's good? In comes Tracer into the backline, though. Easy blow up on Druid with the healer down. This is bad news for the BTG, but they're trying to move in and catch someone. But 619 taking far too much damage. Zeratul in, and a lovely kill with the extra charge range on Misaka. He's going to eat a tower hit thanks to Junkrat, but still 2 kills for basically nothing. Portable for good measure to get Misaka out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Misaka. He has arrived in this game, the Diablo. He's one of the most scariest warrior players to begin with in the first place, but his Diablo has been looking so polished over the last few play days. Whenever he's on that hero, he seems to make those plays possible. And of course, we also have to mention, oh, never mind, Misaka, that was not planned, I think, but the portal's already here. LLK, an unintentional engagement here because I think Diablo's animation was following the concussion mine by accident, but still, with Molly paying good attention, they were able to follow up on this quite handsomely. So, actually, I do want to highlight those 2 heroes, like those 2 players in the meantime. Like Molly and Misaka, the double M here is doing God's work for SPT, really securing them an almost entire level lead up to this point.
They are looking dominant already. 4 kills to 0, and they might even try to steal the counter camp. They, in fact, are going to try. Melody C begins the attack here. He's gone for Parting Gift, not following in the tools of aloof, shoes of aloof, or going for that untouchable.
Yeah.
Don't crash. With the concussion mine, though, just going to be very patient. This could give Dancing and 619 the chance to move in and steal their own camp back. Race is just going to let it unleash, but they don't heal up in time, and 619 will just take its own camp.
Melody C, by the way, trying to get rid of all those grenades that were relentlessly chasing after him. But if you watch a player like Melody C, without a doubt one of the strongest mechanical players in China, maybe even in the entire world, according to Dreadnought, you can even see those tiny little details, like Tracer never standing still, always going for these stutter steps back and forth to really deny the chances of getting hit by, let's say, a Hanzo arrow or a grenade by Junkrat. So pay attention to those tiny little micromanagement moves by players like Melody C, and they can really maybe give you a tip or 2 for your own gameplay in Hero League or Team League.
Targeted excision on the Stukov. Very much this full root build once we get to those later levels. The Virulent Reaction at level 13 will likely be the main talent for that kind of hard engaged style as Diablo. scouting around, but is seen thanks to the Sonic Arrow of Hanzo, so no cheeky, unexpected ganks at this point.
Up to this point, you know, a couple of kills were made here. In fact, 4-0, the current kill counter for SPT. But as you can see, they're not too far ahead. Beyond the Game has been doing a pretty good job at, you know, limiting the losses and minimizing the losses they had to take. Now, Diablo sitting at 100 soul stones here, by the way. We could just see that on the UI. So he's in full tank mode right now. Of course, oftentimes Diablo players, when they are sitting at 100 soul stones, they take this as an invitation to play even more recklessly because they're hard to kill, but oftentimes that backfires. And once you go down to 0, you're going to be a tiny Diablo, an easy target for most heroes in the game. So on the game, let's see what they can do. Dropping those grenades to have a little bit of vision, confirming that SPT is indeed going for that bottom mer camp.
SPT, they very much calmed down. They have level 10, but they're still not really putting on any kind of hyper-aggression with it. Being very patient, just waiting for the objective. This could be nerves. This could be the fact that they just want to make sure that BTG don't catch them up or get sneaky counter kills due to variant taunts, due to the flaming swipes, which level 10 has now been hit by BTG.
All right, mercenary camps are being unlocked here for both teams. We see Beyond the Game going for the right-hand Fallen Shaman camp. SPT is mirroring the movements on the left-hand side. No major talent advantage available this time. We see heroic abilities available for both sides. No Leyline Seal. That is quite interesting to see. Like, we haven't seen a single Leyline Seal game today. And I think the previous days it was completely ignored for the most part as well. So the infamous Leyline Seal Apocalypse combos have yet to been unlocked for Chinese teams.
It is still a silence, so it's technically good against Sonya, of course, because her Wrath of Berserker makes her resistant to most CC except silences. So it's a good target there, and of course it will stop Varian using his shield wall, making him easier to kill as well. They move in Misaka, using that big old demon body to hold the line here. As Sonya just being ignored right now because she's kind of just doing the objective, and SPT aren't doing much about it as of yet. They're just soaking to level 12 by the looks of it, and waiting for Zeratul, who has just arrived.
And of course, you don't really need the Leyline Seal, right, when you have a Zeratul in your team. The VP and Leyline Seal are actually sometimes counterproductive when they overlap. They won't really give you much value. So instead, going for the Polybomb, which, as you said, allows you to interrupt the Sonya from spinning, allows you to prevent Varian from using Shield Wall, giving you an additional time window to execute those heroes. It's a very smart call, so I'm 100% agreeing with SPT in the way they designed the level 10. But look at that, already 33-3. I think Soap's rotation on the Zeratul took too long, and it gave Beyond the Game enough time to secure this purple Punisher. Arcane Energy is now going to be their ally.
That is one of the most damaging Punishers in the game as they move forward with it. As such, they're reinforcing it hard. Junkrat being the one into the solo lane. Diablo takes a lot of damage, but Force of Will prevents too much of a follow-up. Taunt is used. Ambitious here. There's the A-block, though. Huge blow-up onto Druid. And the VP to set up for even more Twilight Dream. Polybomb, and it's a massacre. Kendrick Lai has nowhere to go, but he is going to escape thanks to the zoning Riptire value.
And you know what? If you have full confidence in your abilities and you can make those combos work the way SPT did it, you don't even need to risk anything for the early game Punishers because you can defend them so well. Every single heroic ability was picture perfect, isolating the backline, isolating Beyond the Game, and then going for kill after kill. Wonderfully done. Not even the Riptire was able to do much about that. And SPT, I think if we just look at that one teamfight Tetcher, they're back in the building, and they're here trying to win this series and securing themselves second spot in the league.
Oh yeah, they have a talent advantage right now. They have a level advantage. They did lose their fort, but they're putting themselves in a good position and showing that their teamfight potential is absolutely terrifying if they do move in aggressively at all. Bullet spray for Tracer. This is back to the good old-fashioned burst build to match with what the rest of their comp is about.
I also like what Misaka and the Diablo did there. So a lot of people, when they see VP and Apocalypse go down as the level 10 heroic abilities, they will probably expect those abilities to be used in synchrony, in unison for the most part, right? But Misaka didn't really care about that. He saw the moment to engage, he saw a good target, and he locked down the Stukov before it was too late, right? And going for this infamous combo of Diablo, you use Apocalypse first, you Shadow Charge, and then overpower the target into the previously cast Hell Circle. That is how you do it. That is how you go for a single man engage. And that was just basically the foundation for the other team members of SPT to build up on.
Yeah, gives you an easy blow up onto Stukov, especially since he has no self-sustain, really. At level 13, he didn't even go for the virulent reaction, in fact. He went for the reactive ballista pause, which is a fair shout considering that he is the burst target. Speaking of burst target, Tracer nearly getting caught out, dragon arrow to the face. But even the scatter arrow, not enough to pick up the immediate kill. LDC will be able to either be back or get healed up by ZZ8 over time.
That was a really close moment there for LDC. I actually thought he would be a goner after this perfectly aimed Dragon's arrow, but the anti-stun, of course, landing big time for Malfred. Now, Varian charging and the silence goes down. The portals are good. Not full length here, not full distance covering, but it was not even needed. Level 13 is here, of course, and once again, we rarely get to see any circle of protection anymore in China. The talent was nerfed, increases the duration, the cooldown actually now of Force of Will, and as such, the lower cooldown on level 13 seems to be the go-to choice for most Medivhs here.
Makes a lot of sense, considering you're against a Varian, all that burst potential. I am digging it. As we wait to see what level 16s will be for SPT, as they are now halfway there, just in time for the next objective. If they can get into the lanes and soak up all that lovely XP, and if they can get a kill as well, would be a brilliant scenario for them, easily done. And that's going to give them the boost they need to get 16 before the objective spawns.
Now SPT is just showing off here, going for those easy peasy kills against a lonely Junkrat. Diablo does not let go. He goes for the full combo in mid-air. That Quantum Spike was actually landed by Melody C here. Wonderful performance, absolutely nailing it here up to this point. 7 kills to 0. SPT is looking like a dominant team, like the old SPT that we were used to seeing here many times. 3-time China champions, not without reason.
And they need this. Remember, if they even go 1-1 today, there's a chance they could lose that second spot heading into the playoffs, as they just burn down the Punisher this time, getting all those skeletons, and this will give them their first Punisher of the game, which they can then use to crush in through that mid lane.
All right, we see the Juggernaut once again by Varian, by the way, so additional percentage damage seems to be the go-to, despite the fact that he didn't even go Warbringer, so he still has normal cooldown on his charge. Speaking of beyond the game, getting pummeled left, right, and center, the Sonya was taken down at the worst point in time possible, because depending on how fast SPT is actually willing to clear that shrine, they're going to have to defend without Sonya. Look at the body blocks by Misaka, actually doing God's work here. The diabolical momentum giving him more cooldown reduction with every auto attack that goes through. So yeah, Sonya, 15 seconds until she's back. I don't think she will contribute anything to a potential defense in the middle. That is a gone for it, and look at top lane as well. Melody C and Soap, they're not done just yet. They could even force a double force fort play, with the mercenary camps in the top lane.
They could try. The mercenary camp might even get it on its own if they leave it unattended, which I think is the plan from SPT as they move in. Medivh give it all that delicious vision so that they know if they can go deep or not. You can see that side wall very subtly getting killed off here. Tracer cleaned that off so that if Diablo wants to dive, which he's gonna do by the looks of it, he could attempt to do, but nice knockback by Junkrat. This will buy 619 the time he needs to back up.
Yeah, destroying those little side wall pieces is so crucial, not just in case someone gets flung over the wall by Junkrat, for example, to have an immediate escape route, but also in terms of giving you vision, right? Of course you have Medivh, but as long as he's not in Raven form and with those wall pieces up, you normally don't have the greatest of vision here. Now, this is a cheeky play by LLK, but he forgot about the recall. Really easy. Here comes the Dragon's Arrow, easily cleansed though, stopped by ZZH.
Brought off a good measure just in case, and Melody is out. So putting pressure on 619. Misaka,
very nice.
lovely angle, not going to be able to get the wall here. There's the taunt onto Malfurion. Shield Wall, keeping him alive for the moment, makes it into the VP.
Going
and
in.
the APOC doesn't land, but Twilight Dream, a huge blow up onto Stukov. Good damage from Stukov though, the weighted pustule with that reactive ballista pulse, but they still are able to get a 2 for 0. Nice, easy trade.
Yeah, and not only did they get a 2 for 0 in terms of hero trades, but also a 2 for 0 in terms of forts, right? They took down middle and top at the same time. Beautifully done here by SPT, and once again, man, those Twilight Dreams are just on point, and you could really see the confidence of ZZH as well, walking into the VP willingly because he realized, you know what, there's no more counters available. Concussion Mine is not there, Taunt had just been used, so I am safe and good to go to basically deliver a point-blank Twilight Dream on 3 members at the same time.
Riptide being brought out here to try and wrap around from the side, being very patient, Use all that duration, set up for the burst, leaping over the walls. Look for ZZH, but Zeratul,
like, nope.
Quick, easy burst. Good percentage damage from Misaka as well, gaining a stack as he gets the reset. Huge damage, Dragon Arrow on just Diablo as he tanks through it. Pressure from Sobel to the backline, dodges away from 619 to prevent the taunt, dances back in after baiting the Varian in. Lovely move here, down goes through it, and Lai gonna be able to get a good 4-man whirlwind, but he is alone with just 619, who can't offer him any healing. Portal is used as well. LLK's trying to siege in and help his team, but with 619 down, this will be the first keep of the game going over to SPT.
What are you going to do when SPT comes for you in their full might here? They actually tried to lock down Lai on the Sonya, but that didn't work out just as planned. They don't even need to chase this one. Melody C is still getting a little greedy here. The portal is there to save him just in case. Those grenades, though, if he takes those core shots, I was about to say, that is going to be lights out for Beyond the Game. Yeah. And because they were getting distracted and wasting time in the bottom half of the map, it is not GG after all. Beyond the Game holds and lives to see another day. But this was more like SPT messing it up, getting a little bit cockier rather than Beyond the Game making a big hole.
Choice is just on the core. Just, hello, team? Am I supposed to be tanking? That just gets taken out super easily. Even with level 20, has gone for the get stuffed. Getting that extra little bit of cooldown reduction on the melee, especially important with this particular build with the bullet spray.
Yeah, very true. So now, with the bullet spray, we have a huge number of burst damage available potentially for Tracer, and of course a nice extra dislocation, anti-mobility. Almost like a haymaker, I think, sometimes when it pops off.
There's even more being added in here due to the arcane brilliance for Medivh, giving Zeratul, Tracer, Diablo even more. Even if you drop it on Malfurion for a Twilight Dream, National Communion could be cool.
So basically no glyph of Polybomb, which is oftentimes the go-to if you go for Polybomb at level 10, but the arcane brilliance, as you said, ability power available. Does it restore mana as well?
Yep, 200 mana to all nearby allied heroes, and grant them all 10% ability power.
Nice, alright. Now we're talking Medivh. Misaka in trouble. VP goes down. Apocalypse is still ready.
Oh, here we go. Is Arcade Brilliance ready? No, Medivh still hovering around in this top area. Could just polybomb the Junkrat here, and in fact does, but Junkrat pops the bomb.
Fights are all over the place.
Back out the way. The fight is all over the place. Looking for Sonya as the target. As Soap is being zoned out. Melody C getting kills in the back line. Picking up the Hanzo. There's the Twilight Dream as they turn it back round. It's a 4 versus 5, but they're still trying to do stuff. Junkrat with the spread volley and a nice choke point, but with they still come already dead. And Diablo finding 619 for the kill.
Wow, that was next level. The level 20 talent by Diablo, the Hellgate, was used here almost like an Apocalypse. So you basically blink in, you Shadow Charge, and E the target into your Demon Circle. Now 3 members dead for good for Soap. Don't get distracted this time. No deja vu here, please. They don't even need to worry about the Mercenary camp that have been pushing top. They don't need to worry about the Punisher that is already charging in the bottom lane. All they need to do here is go for the core, Misaka.
Lai is trying to delay. He's going to kill the catapult first. That's the immediate damage. Now needs to get back to the enemies. Gets caught in the Malfurion route as the core goes down. Nothing they can do. GG. Game number 1 goes over the super perfect team.
Yeah. Hanzo making a last effort here to really get that play of the game done, but it was too little too late. SPT, after failing the first time they tried to bring the core down, they do so the second time, and they take an important